another skylight. Like this place has tons and tons. And look at that fireplace. That is so funky. This is definitely a custom mansion. Oh, of course, as with every mansion, we've got to have an intercom. It's so weird to have all these random things kind of just floating around in the corridor.
They got all slashers.
Got a laundry room here. There's some older appliances. Oh, they're both front loading.
Hey, he look like Bruce, bro. He black as hell.
You still got a box of sunlight there, which is super weird. But I gotta say, guys, this place is almost clinical. It's just so white. And there is a mirror right ahead. That is not somebody else. That's obviously Herbeck's Jamie. Okay, so this is the kitchen.
Bang his ass can, you already know.
There's just stuff everywhere. So friggin' weird. And then again, another light just on randomly. Old appliances. Got pots on the stove. I mean, I'd really love to hear what you guys think about this place. Look at the double sink over at the corner. Whoa. Just so crazy. Again, stacks and stacks of microwaves, toaster ovens, like...
Do y'all want to play some?
Multiple people just hoarding stuff in here.
We need you in that payment, sir.
Like another refrigerator. Tables and just stuff every friggin' where.
This nigga already doing dumb shit.
Look at this nice dining room chairs. Another refrigerator, sorry. China hutches. Like multiple.
That nigga, yeah, right here.
This one's all full
Damn.
of China.
Shut up, nigga. Bro, it was 3 niggas though, bro. The fuck, bro? That's 3 niggas, bro.
Tons of place settings and everything.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Top 5 Central. Amusement parks and carnivals spend millions of dollars developing crazy rides that thousands of people could go on daily. But one thing that really misses the headlines are the smaller homemade ones that people actually build in their own backyards. So today we're going to look at 10 of the most insane backyard rides ever made. Anyways, if this video could break 10,000 likes, I'll mail each and every single one of you a pancake. But with that said, let's get right into the video. Number 10. So most kids are lucky to have a normal swing set in their house growing up, but this is on a whole new level. I mean, this swing goes 360 degrees, so you can go all the way around. The only question is if you're brave enough. Like, there's no seatbelt or harness. All you can do is hold on tight. But if you're not scared of being completely upside down, about as high as a rooftop, then that shouldn't be a problem.
We need you at the payment, sir. Yeah, you was high as hell right there. Oh. He look like a real slasher.
Number 9. Tons of people like to brag about having cool grandparents, but I don't think anyone has a cooler grandpa than this kid. Like, seriously, this guy started building his granddaughter a roller coaster in his backyard the second he knew she was on the way, but that was only the beginning. Now she has a complete carnival to play on, with a roller coaster, a Ferris wheel, and even a freaking carousel. The best part is, she lives right next door, so she can run around and play anytime she wants. With that said, I have no idea what he's gonna get her for Christmas, because her birthday presents so far have been pretty hard to beat.
Well, he's seeing you, bro. That's why he filed.
Listen closely, what you hear on this ride is love.
Yeah, when I was little, Papa always wanted it, but I couldn't ever have none of this.
Jimmy White made an amusement park in his backyard, a Ferris wheel, a carousel, and yes, a roller coaster, all built from scrap parts, and all for his first grandchild, Sophia. The coaster track is PVC, the supports wood and cement.
I just kind of started let the PVC pipe flow.
He said these niggas is weird. You mean they trash?
The car locked onto the track.
I kind of seen it on TV, you know, roller coaster there, just gravity fed. I said, well, I got something high here, I can do it. So I did it.
Number 8.
Get that
So
pain,
most
Missouri.
carnival rides look super complicated, but it turns out if you have a big enough backyard and some serious determination, they're not too difficult to recreate at home. I mean, this guy managed to recreate a whole spinning carousel with just some spare metal and an old trailer to mount it on. Like, it doesn't go super fast, and it's mostly powered by hand, but I mean, let's be real here, it definitely beats just having like an empty lawn, right?
I made a backyard carnival ride, a swing ride for my children. It's mounted on a trailer. There's 5 seats welded up in steel with safety chains to keep them in there, good and safe.
Missouri, your man can't shoot. Missouri, your man can't shoot.
Number 7. Being obsessed with monorails might not sound like the most
He really
exciting
caught
hobby in
that.
the
I
world,
got need
but
up
it led
there.
to this guy creating something so awesome in his own home. Like, as a kid, he would sketch monorail ideas all the time, and he even started collecting monorail-themed souvenirs when he grew up. But after a while, that just wasn't enough. That's when he finally started working on his own project, and ended up with a 300-foot-long monorail around his own home, circling past his upstairs windows, and making his lifelong dream come true.
We only got one big man, Missouri.
Kim climbs on board with a flick of the switch. The Niles monorail comes to life. Leaving the station, the train makes its way toward the back of the yard. Everything seems to be working well. Crossing the final few feet of track, the homemade monorail successfully completes its first trip around Kim's backyard. And although Kim is thrilled with his new ride, he's already focused on making a bigger and better model. Oh, I always want. Number 6. Now, what I really like about this story is that this guy had no experience designing or building roller coasters. He just woke up one day and wanted to build something cool. Now, for the rest of us, maybe we end up with like the worst slide ever that breaks the day after. But this guy built a full-on metal roller coaster, and it looks insane. Like, he built the whole thing out of scrap metal he collected, and even though it was an insane amount of work, he even built a smaller one just 10 years later for younger people. The fact that the big one has an upside-down loop and it's all homemade is so cool. Let me know by leaving a comment down below if you'd ride it or check it out. I mean, I'd definitely go on it in a heartbeat, but let me know down in the comments.
Go, 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 go.
He built a backyard roller coaster called the Blue Flag.
I've had truck drivers come here and ask me what.
That nigga know you doing stupid shit, bro. All they gotta say shit to his dumb ass. You already know. I don't know why they give him the ball. Get a point guard the ball, bro. Stop giving him the ball. I'll pass him if he open.
But not in their backyard, you know.
You good?
Here we go.
Without any prior experience, he collected and then welded scrap metal
Here we go. Over the top.
into a 24-second thrill ride.
This is the
Nah, he's gonna beat it. This ain't about 2-way.
downhill drop.
I only got one finishing badge.
The helix part of the ride is basically a
Good D.
Number 5. This guy's promotional video might be a little bit goofy, but I've got to be honest, what he's managed to build looks totally awesome. He calls it the Gyrotron, which is basically a giant human gyroscope that you can easily control. I mean, yeah, it does look a little silly, but who doesn't love
Bro, we
spinning
don't got
upside
no
down
paint
as fast as
presence, bro. We
possibly
need you in the
go?
paint. Your man cannot shoot,
Even
bro.
better,
You can
start
just stand down there and
feeling
make sure you don't get
dizzy, don't
3
worry,
seconds, bro.
Because all you have to do if you want to slow
Literally.
things down is just stand up. I gotta admit, this is kind of genius, because apparently he rents these things out at parties and events, which would definitely spice things up.
Yeah, we gonna play deal, but your man can't shoot, though.
And bending your knees brings you to a stop.
If he can, I'll step up.
I can go anywhere I want to go. Like here. Or here. Fast, slow, it's all up to you. See, I do it a little hard, but you can do it as soft.
Number 4. Now, for most kids, having a pool in your backyard is already super cool, but this family decided to take things one step further. How? Well, they added a slide, of course, but they didn't just drive to the nearest store and pick one up. Instead, they actually built the whole thing themselves and ended up with a huge slide that starts all the way back at their house. Not just that, but it lets you gather some serious speed because it's so steep and long, making it way better than some little, like, kiddie slide you could buy at Walmart.
Alright, hang on, everybody out of the way! Everybody out of the way! Go!
may look totally adorable, but don't be fooled. The speed it kicks out when it's going full throttle is no joke. Like, considering the whole thing was handmade out of steel and wood, the sharp turns and mini revs and moves are super impressive, not to mention the drop. Even better, it looks like it's been built around like some sort of climbing frame, complete with its own slide.
You know I see
so
you
if
though,
you ever
bro.
manage to get sick of the coaster itself, the ride doesn't have to end there.
That broke it on the
Cool,
board,
right?
you feel? Just be careful in the wreck. I always take that shit off for the wreck. Yeah, I take that shit off. You can't flash your pass in the wreck. You can, but it's a lot harder. Good D, Missouri.
Number 2. If the last 360 slide was awesome, but just a little bit too terrifying, then don't worry. This is probably the perfect backyard ride for you. I mean, it's still a ride that flips you upside down 30 feet up in the air, so it's not exactly relaxing, but this one adds feet and hand straps that make it even safer than the trampoline.
How did I lose my takeover, bro? I lost my takeover. I didn't even do nothing, bro. Or get... Oh, man.
With that said, I can totally see this ride being
That time out.
Doesn't make it any less fun.
Nah, just that time out took my take. I was finna get team takeover, bro. Damn. Unstoppable.
You might think homemade coasters are some sort of like modern fad, but let me tell you, they've been around a lot longer than you might think. I mean, the Termite is one of the most famous backyard rides ever created, and people were talking about it way back in 1989.
With my slasher takeover, he going, you know, he's done.
There are a lot more different kinds of roller coasters out there than you think. There are even some that make you scratch your head and wonder who came up with this. So today we're going to be taking a look at 10 of these rides that truly stand out. So without further ado,
my fault. I was looking at Missouri. That's my fault.
Number 10,
I seen both of y'all too.
Tornado, Wonderland, Texas. From the manufacturer that brought you Desert Storm at Castles and Coasters and Dragon at Adventureland comes
I appreciate that too,
Texas Tornado. This Hopkins coaster doesn't seem too strange at first, but then you get to the inversions. This ride has 2 loops, and the coaster's blue track seems to be elevated off the red support structure
dumb as hell, huh, kid?
white spokes. It turns out that when this ride was first built, the trains were unable to complete the loop, so in order to save money and avoid starting from scratch, the park simply shortened the loop while keeping the original support structure. The result is one of the most unique looking vertical loops out there. You could call it a wagon wheel loop. Number 9, Montaña Suiza, Monte Geldo,
right there.
Spain. Before the days of Shambhala Red Force, this was the first coaster to ever be built in Spain. Also known as Swiss Mountain in English, this ride's track was built into a concrete wall, giving it a truly unique appearance. To this day, it's the oldest steel coaster still in operation, and it opened all the way back in 1928. It's so old-fashioned that a brakeman must ride in the middle of each train to stop the ride when necessary. Admittedly, the ride's hilltop view of the Bay of Biscay is astounding, and while the ride itself is Skara Summerland, Sweden, this S&S creation is the only one of its kind in the world. If you combine an aero-suspended coaster with a B&M wing coaster, you get this bizarre creation.
You hear me, Cam?
On each side of the track, this coaster goes through several helixes and inversions. However, while the track does invert twice, the suspended trains remain vertical, so the coaster technically doesn't have any inversions. While the ride was
this nigga is really ass.
Low capacity reportedly made it unappealing to potential buyers. So
because I said he was trash for missing a full white in the corner.
It can only carry up to 600 riders per hour.
I finna stop playing with his ass, bro. I don't like that kind of shit.
So if we do end up seeing another one of these, it'll definitely be at a smaller park.
I'm just saying, like that's some female shit, bro. I don't like that kind of shit, dog. We niggas over here.
This is what the track actually looks like. New Wild
I don't know for how good you shoot, bro. I can find another shooter, bro.
It's their variation on a Wild Mount. While Wild Mount coasters aren't exactly the most acclaimed rides out there, their symmetrical layouts are pretty satisfying to look at. However, this isn't the case for this ride. The turns are not only completely random, but for some reason, certain sections of the track are slightly wavy, a feature one can only assume is supposed to provide airtime. As if that wasn't strange enough, the trains have animal names written on them like giraffe and elephant. So far, this is the only new wild mouse that Hopkins has made, but considering that they haven't made another coaster since then, there's unlikely to be another one. Number 6, Powder Keg, Silver Dollar City, Missouri. Down in Branson, Missouri lives one of the most unique roller coasters in America. But what makes this coaster so different from the thousands of others out there? Well, several things. First of all, the coaster has a fascinating history. When it first opened in 1999, it was known as a Premier Rides water coaster named Buzzsaw Falls. It had a simple layout with a chain lift, some twisting turns and drops, and of course, a classic splashdown. However, the ride lasted only 4 years after suffering several technical issues. So to save on construction costs, the park hired S&S to convert this water attraction into a launch coaster named Powder Keg. This new attraction used a revolutionary compressed air launch and is currently the only coaster in America to feature such a launch. Strangely enough, the ride still uses Buzzsaw Falls chain lift in the second half, making it one of only a few coasters out there to feature both a launch and a chain lift. As if that wasn't enough, the ride uses a transfer track to lift passengers to the launch platform. It really does have to be seen to believe. Number 5, Cobra, Connieland, Switzerland. From the same country that brought us manufacturers like Intamin and B&M comes this one-of-a-kind shuttle coaster. Despite its location, though, it isn't made by either of these companies, but is instead made by a Russian manufacturer named Pax. So far, it's also the only coaster in Switzerland to feature an inversion. Opening in 2010, this coaster, officially known as a Loop 520, starts off with a reverse lift hill to build up momentum. Guests are then sent through 2 airtime hills and a vertical loop before hitting what is known as a scorpion tail inversion. This world's only inversion uses a brake to hold guests upside down before sending them backwards through the course. For a coaster with such a small layout, it certainly does stand out. Number 4, Lauren Express, Hollishoff, Germany. Have you ever played with storage containers as a kid? Well, one German rural playground took that concept to a whole nother level. Located at Hollishoff Playground, this coaster actually uses storage bins for its trains. Kids use the ropes located on the side of the coaster to pull themselves up the lift hill before going through a small oval-shaped course of airtime hills. There are plenty of photos of this coaster on its RCDB page, but footage of it is pretty rare to come by. There's some drone footage from the park and a brief glimpse at a parent pushing his child up the lift hill, but there's nothing else so far. So if you're a German coaster enthusiast, feel free to post your footage online. But if you actually want to get this credit, you'll have to be under 88 pounds to ride it. Number 3, Ice Mountain Bobsled, Enchanted Forest, Oregon. Here's another example of a coaster that ended up as a different ride experience than originally intended. Located about an hour away from the city of Portland, Ice Mountain Bobsled first opened in 1983. When it was first built, it was more of an alpine slide with a fiberglass track and a mini man-made mountain. However, the ride reportedly didn't work as intended, so park officials decided to turn it into more of a traditional roller coaster.
Yo, big
the result
ass.
is one of the most bizarre and unusual roller coasters out there. Perhaps the strangest part about this coaster is the enclosed cars. The trains each have 3 cars with thick plastic windows and a roof surrounding the passengers. The plastic keeps passengers from sticking their hands out of the car, as the tunnels on the ride are pretty close to the trains. Meanwhile, the front window has holes in it in order to make the ride more aerodynamic. The best way to describe this ride is it's pretty much a homemade Matterhorn. Number 2, the Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain, Indiana Beach, Indiana. Indiana Beach is one of those small parks with a big reputation.
That shit was raw as hell,
It has
too.
the
We
first
bogus.
ever SNS
I thought you was gonna shoot.
America's only operating Jetstar 1, and a
That shit
wooden
was raw as
coaster
fuck,
named
bro.
Cornball Express of all things. But despite the name, Cornball Express isn't the most unique attraction at the park. That title would have to go to the Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain. Originally opening as the Indiana Beach Mine Ride, this coaster was once a slow-moving dark ride. However, in 2002, Custom Coasters International converted this ride into an all-new wooden roller coaster.
Let me get one.
It was also the last coaster they completed before they initially went bankrupt, though the company's designers would later go on to form Gravity Group. Much like Ice Mountain Bobsled, this ride's trains are also enclosed, this time by netting. But what really sets this ride apart is its method of ascension. This is the only wooden roller coaster on Earth to feature an elevator lift. While it isn't a very intense ride, it certainly is one of a kind. And the fact that it used to be a dark ride is truly intriguing. Once again, this ride really does have to be seen to believe. Number 1, Hexenbessen, Seilbahnentale Erlebniswelt, Germany. If you thought Zamperla Valares were the strangest kind of flying coasters, you haven't seen Hexenbessen, aka Witch's Broomstick in English. This coaster is located at German witch-themed amusement park Seilbahn in our Liebnisfeld. According to local legend, witches and demons inhabit the
Oh, he
lands
just
around
hold
this
me.
park. It features several
Wow,
rides,
throw it like
including
that.
an alpine coaster and this truly unusual creation.
Yeah, that's my
the
fault.
ride's trains resemble metal cylindrical cages, and each seat one passenger. Riders lay on their stomachs
Bro,
as they
stop
go
fouling,
through the
bro.
course, which technically makes this a flying coaster. Strangely enough, this ride is made by an alpine coaster company named Vegan,
He's like,
the
"Let me
same
deal."
manufacturer who made the famous Smoky Mountain and Goats on the Roof alpine coasters. This coaster is especially odd because the view is pretty obstructed by that metal cage. Still though, this is a wonderfully weird coaster that is certainly worth riding. If you have this on your credit list, kudos to you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to subscribe and follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find links in the description. This is Theme Park Crazy, and I'll see you all next time.
Let me find out on 100%.
What'd you say?
100%.
Yeah, I fucking missed too.
Epilepsy warning for flashing lights and colors. We've talked about many weird and obscure roller coasters before on this channel, but there are just so many
Get
of
off
them
that good
out there,
shit, but we
they
need one for the
deserve more
rep.
than one video. Recently, I conducted a poll with my viewers with several bizarre roller coasters to choose from. So as voted on by the fans, here are just some of the many unusual roller coasters ever built. Number 10, Inversa, Brazil's Aqua Locos. Made in-house by the park. Located on the South Brazilian coast, Aqua Locos is a full-fledged resort with a hotel and a plethora of entertainment options.
What?
The resort features a paintball arena and even helicopter rides. As if all of that wasn't enough, there's also a small amusement park for guests to enjoy. This park features a variety of attractions, but only one truly stands out for its strangeness. Introducing La Inversa, an inverted shuttle coaster that was actually made in-house by the park itself. Since it was made independently, the ride comes with a few unique quirks to it. First of all, the track structure looks like less of a roller coaster and more like a dead-end electrical tower. Second, take a look at the front car. For some reason, the back half of a seat completely blocks the view from the front. It's unknown why it's there, and it's a peculiar design choice to say the least. Moreover, the restraints are made entirely out of metal, something you usually don't see on roller coasters. The ride itself is as simple as can be, with guests being lifted forwards onto one end before plunging backwards towards the other. The train
that's because he bought that account. Hey, you hear me? Hey, that's because he bought that account and it was already his friends.
As of right now, it is the only operating inverted shuttle coaster in South America, and one of only 5 operating inverted coasters in the entire continent, so it's a pretty rare find worth checking out. Number 9, Looping at France's Parc St. Paul, made by French manufacturer Soke. This is one coaster that the park would undoubtedly like to forget about. Powered coasters usually use contacts on the rails to send electricity to power a motor on the ride vehicle, allowing it to be less dependent on gravity and have more of a compact layout. Ordinarily, these coasters aren't built to be thrill rides and are usually family attractions with mild layouts. Well, one French company named Soke decided to take the powered coaster
with
to
a mid-range that I should have made.
This company was actually daring enough to add a vertical loop to their powered coaster model, and a rather tight one at that. Through the use of electrical power and several small motors on the train, this coaster was able to forego a small lift hill and send riders zooming through the course right from the start. The train would start by maneuvering an upwards helix straight out of the station before speeding up further on a section of straight track. After a bank turn to the left, the track heads downwards towards the vertical loop. Although the first part of this loop is powered, the train completes the rest of the course with its own momentum, making this a partially powered coaster. The train would then maneuver the course for a second time before stopping at the station. After a lengthy run in the French Ferry circuit, it would be moved to Parc St. Paul for the 2003 season. It seemed like a rather unique and entertaining roller coaster at first, but just 2 years after it opened at Parc St. Paul, disaster struck. On July 17, 2005, one of the cars actually derailed during the loop. 4 people were injured, and the ride was closed shortly afterwards. After a year of sitting standing but not operating, it would be removed from the park. Number 8, Los Simpson at Spain's Holiday World, made by an unknown manufacturer. Not to be confused with the acclaimed theme park in Indiana, Spain's Holiday World is a small amusement park on the island of Gran Canaria. This park once featured a coaster that pretty much had copy copyright infringement written all over it. This kiddie coaster named Los Simpson is named after the long-running animated series The Simpsons. While the bottom of the ride structure does feature illustrations of Simpsons characters, the rest of the ride has nothing to do with the series. Let's look at the train from front to back. We have Simba, Adam West's Batman, Disney's Big Bad Wolf, the Red Power Ranger, and Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If the Sense of Right internet meme was a coaster, this would be it. You can also find illustrations of several Disney characters on the ride structure, and you really have to wonder what went into the design process of this ride. Most likely, this was originally meant to be a traveling fair coaster, drawing kids to ride it with its many colorful characters. And it's unlikely any major media company would bother claiming copyright infringement over a small kiddie coaster in the Canary Islands. Sadly, this head-scratching masterpiece was removed in early 2019 as an effort to renovate the park. It is unknown what will happen to it, but we're very lucky to have it documented. Number 7. Pipeline Express at Ohio's Putnam Pond Speed Park. Made by Canadian manufacturer Bailey Rides. Some roller coasters are wooden, some roller coasters are steel, but did you know that there was once a plastic coaster? You may remember the auto sled from my 10 rare and unique roller coasters video. This now extinct coaster model featured small plastic sleds that each sat one person, and guests would strap themselves in with a seatbelt. In 1986, the first auto sled debuted at Fostoria, Ohio's Putnam Pond Speed Park. While the structure and ties were made of steel, the rails were actually constructed from plastic PVC pipes. Yes, the same material that hooks up septic systems. This is the kind of thing you'd see on a backyard coaster, and not one you'd see at an operating amusement park. Nevertheless, the ride proved to be quite popular and would operate all the way until the early 2000s. It's unknown how the park maintained the plastic rails, or why exactly the coaster closed, but the fact that it existed is truly fascinating. Number 6. The Rollerball model. Made by Swiss manufacturer Ride Engineers Switzerland. Remember the dizzy dropper from Roller Coaster Tycoon 3? Well, 14 years after the game came out, this roller coaster would become reality. In 2018, Ride Engineers Switzerland would introduce the Rollerball, a family coaster with one of the most unusual designs you'll ever see. Passengers board the ride vehicles at the bottom, sitting parallel to the sideways track. They are then sent up a vertical lift before descending into the course. The layout consists of several sharp downwards turnarounds, making it resemble a wild mouse flipped on its side. With each dip downwards, a brake is applied. Ordinarily, putting a brake at the drop would kill a ride's fun factor, but there's a special reason for this braking system. The ride vehicles are designed to swing back and forth, but not flip. Hitting the brakes causes a sudden
I killed that part on, bro.
that causes riders to swing even more than they would without the brakes. This allows the ride to be more enjoyable to families, and even a few hardcore enthusiasts say the ride was better than expected. The first of these coasters would open at Germany's
Hey, I said let her hit the
This
weed.
ride
Did I'ma hit her?
themed to a chicken coop, featuring several chickens scattered throughout the structure, an egg display with queue line, and a rather eccentric theme song. Just take a listen to this. Yes, that is a clucking sound. Pretty awesome if you ask me. More recently, a much bigger rollerball would open at France's Parc Spier and would be themed to the Franco-Belgian comic character Marsupilami. Still though, while the one in France is bigger, Ville de Hill does more elaborate
I need 2 assists for 20 assists.
much more. Look for more rollerballs to be installed in the coming years. Number 5. Manufacturer Reverchon. Imagine taking a wild mouse and reimagining it as a suspended coaster. That's exactly what French manufacturer Reverchon did with this creation. Currently exclusive to traveling fairs, there are only 2 of these coasters operating in the entire world. One named Ala Delta and the other named Eurocoaster. Both of these coasters feature one-row trains that each seat 4 people. Just like a wild mouse, the course features several switchback turns and a few dips. However, the ride vehicles have the added bonus of rocking guests side to side. For every turn, you'll find yourself swinging in the opposite direction. Another unique aspect to this ride is the queue line. At its annual installation at London, England's Hyde Park Winter Wonderland, it is rebranded Christmas Coaster and features a funhouse style queue line, complete with rollers and rotating platforms. Despite its standout features though, the ride as a whole has received a negative reception from enthusiasts. YouTube user Changa says, "It's horrendous. I'd recommend it for the credit, but every time it lurch forward, then ride to depth
or this video?
YouTube users
Oh yeah, it is. That's why I said he one more
assist.
assist.
They threw out the designer halfway through the development. And YouTube user and another Swiss YouTube user said, "The drops are really fun, but the rest is kind of boring." Despite this criticism, though, Chinese manufacturer Golden Horse released their own unauthorized version of this coaster. But would you believe that the knockoff version is actually considered to be better than the original? Notable enthusiast Richard Bannister agrees. Although he was a harsh critic of the Reverchon version, Bannister said the Golden Horse version, quote, "had one rough transition towards the end of the course, but for the most part was good fun. It just goes to show you can't judge a coaster by its manufacturer." Number 4, the Illusion model, made by Dutch manufacturer Vekoma. Once upon a time, Vekoma created a brand new family coaster model named the Illusion. Since then, it has become known as one of the most unique and bizarre indoor roller coasters in existence. First opening
Ha! Hey, kid, I said come out with nobody over.
These rides are the only one remaining is Revolution at Belgium's Bobbejaanland. This coaster model is notable for having an insanely long train. The one on Revolution has 30 cars, and the one on Chaos was even crazier at 40 cars. That's quite a lot of passengers. As a result, this coaster has a maximum capacity of around 1,200 riders per hour with one train alone, which is just 300 less than the capacity of Fury 325 at Carowinds. In addition to the lengthy train, the layout itself is equally unusual. Starting off with a long spiral lift, passengers can view a projection screen on the ceiling as dreamlike background music plays. After the lift, the train descends a long layout consisting of a long, wavy, downward spiral, with the ride ending shortly afterwards. The ride experience isn't going to blow you away, but its distinctiveness alone makes it a must-ride for rare credit seekers. Number 3, the Tower Coaster model, made by Italian manufacturer SBF Visa. If you thought the Gerstlauer Eurofighter had a steep decline, just look at the SBF Tower Coaster. This compact